I want you to look at that piece of paper in your pocket today, or that digital number on your phone. How many of us realize that this mundane object is the greatest power in history? That power is money. Most of us think we know what money is. We wake up, we work, we earn, we pay. But let me tell you a secret. Money was not invented for the reason you were told. What did they tell us in school? Hunter-gatherers engaged in barter. A fisherman came wanting meat. A hunter came wanting fish. This barter system was problematic, and that's why money was invented. A lie. Completely false. This is the longest-running economic myth in history, and today we are going to tear that myth apart, because money was a technology that launched civilization. It did not emerge because of a trade of fish and meat. Part 1, the problem with barter and the birth of trust. Let's go back to that primitive community. Barter is genuinely incredibly inefficient. Just consider the double coincidence of wants. I am a fisherman and I need shoes, but the shoemaker today needs salt, not fish. What am I going to do? I must first exchange the fish for salt and then the salt for shoes. This cannot form an economy. This only happens between a handful of neighbors. Large-scale trade did not operate this way. So what is the truth? Archaeologists struggle to find evidence of widespread barter in communities, tens of thousands of years old. What do they find more often? Debt and social obligation. If a hunter's neighbor went hungry, he gave him meat. This wasn't a trade. It was a debt. One day you give to me, one day I give to you. The relationship was the economy. Society itself was a network of trust, but this system was great for small, close-knit communities. What happened as civilization grew? Sumer, Babylon, Egypt, places where thousands of strangers came together who didn't have to trust each other. Money was born out of the necessity to establish trust between these strangers. Part 2, money as a unit of account. Silver bars and wheat. Money did not start as a means of payment. It started as a unit of account. We are in Mesopotamia around 3000 BC. How were the Sumerian temples and palaces going to manage the wheat, beer, and taxes they collected? They had to say that one sheep was equal to 50 liters of wheat or 10 barrels of beer. But wheat spoils and beer goes flat. This is where silver entered the picture. Silver was not mined in Mesopotamia, so it was scarce and held its value. Silver was standardized by weight, the shekel. 1 shekel was approximately 8.3 grams of silver. But what did you receive your salary in? Silver bars? No. An agricultural worker's salary was calculated in wheat, but its value was stated in shekels. Therefore, money's first function was not to be a storable value, but to be an abstract ruler that could measure everything. This was a completely new way of thinking. I present to you the technology that allowed civilization to manage such complex bureaucracy. For the first time, accounting. Money was not just an economic tool, it was an administrative tool. Part 3, money's second job, the state's weapon. After being a unit of calculation, money gained its second vital function, state control. Why? Because states had large armies and grand projects, pyramids, walls. They needed taxes to feed and clothe these people, but not everyone could pay with silver. The farmer grew wheat, not silver. This is where the state defined money. The state said, "You are obliged to pay this tax to me, and you can only do this with a sealed piece of metal, a coin that I have minted." The invention of coins around the 7th century BC, Lydia, was not a bartering facilitator. It was a state instrument. By spending the minted money, soldier wages, supplies, The state made society dependent on the unit of debt it created. The state introduced the money into the market, then collected the same money back as tax. This was the most powerful way to control the economic cycle. You owed the state. It was the need for tax and war, not barter, that invented money. Part 4. The collision of money with human naturezzo. What happened next? Human nature. Once money existed, people immediately gravitated towards using it as a tool for accumulating wealth and power. You have a portable, non-perishable, universally accepted intensifier of power. What does this mean? Debt and inflation were born. History is filled with this cycle. The state prints too much money for war, lowers the gold, silver content. Market confidence is lost. Prices rise, inflation. The public revolts. The Roman Empire slowly destroyed itself this way. As emperors needed more armies, they reduced the silver content in the currency. The value of money dropped, public trust collapsed, and Rome's economy plunged into centuries of chaos. Money was an incredible tool of order, but it also brought with it the power to create chaos. Part 5. Returning to the modern age. The complex real. No, let's return to the present day. That piece of paper in our pocket, or the number in our bank account. We call this fiat money. There is no gold or silver behind it. So, what is behind it? Your trust in the state. You believe that this money, lira, dollar, euro, whatever, will still hold value the next day. And who is obliged to accept this money? The state through tax payment, closing parenthesis. Thus, as you can see, the modern economy still rests on those two ancient foundations. Social trust, society accepting this unit of measure. State coercion, the state's authority to accept this unit as tax. All the dynamism of capitalism, all its debt and bubbles, are built upon this abstract, millennia-old foundation. Conclusion, the true source of power. So why did they tell the myth of barter? Because it's a cleaner, simpler story. The true story is more complex and harsher. Money began as a tool created by the state to organize and dominate society, not to facilitate exchange, but to manage trust and debt. Remember, money is a tool, neither good nor bad. But who it serves and for what purpose it is used determines the entire course of civilization. And the Roman emperor who reduced the silver in the currency is just as human as the modern central banker who sets interest rates. Power changes hands, but the fight always remains the same: control. If this historical perspective has changed the value of a shekel silver bar in your mind, stay tuned for the continuation of this series. In the next part, we will examine why modern banking began as a scam. Until then, goodbye.